Broadcasting live. It's America's longest running talk show on computers. It's Computer America, bringing you the biggest names in technology with guest interviews, new products, and your emails. Listen live at computeramerica.com on any device around the world. Email the show at live@computeramerica.com or find us on social media. Be sure to check out our website for contests, giveaways, show notes, live video stream, podcasts, and more. You're listening to Computer America.
Hello and welcome to the Computer America Show. We are the nation's longest running, nationally syndicated radio talk show on computers and technology. Thank you for joining us. I'm your host, Ben Crossman, and everyone, hey, how you doing? Hopefully you're having a great day, and of course, first things first, I'm sure a lot of you have heard, huge condolences to everyone in Paris, and of course with the fire with the Notre Dame Chapel, and yeah, it's just awful. Even though we're a high-tech show, obviously pieces of history like that, hopefully they've used some of the technology that we've talked about on the show before. One of them that comes to mind is the idea that you can take high fidelity 3D images of pieces, so that if they're ever damaged or lost for any kind of reason, you of course have essentially backups of buildings and architecture and things like that. So I'm sure that there is plenty of high quality images and, maybe even 3D scans of the space. And even as we are still kind of waiting to see what is even salvageable and what isn't, there's a good possibility that technology may come to the rescue and potentially help restore what was lost. So I'm looking forward to that. Hopefully, we hear some good news about that. But in the meantime, everyone, hey, welcome into Monday. And so for today on the show, we have an entire hour of computer and technology news, which is great because, hey, we have a lot of stories. Like, honestly, probably 20 stories. We're not going to be able to get to them all, but we are going to do our darndest and just have a nice, relaxing Monday. Tomorrow on the show, we have a guest where we'll be talking about how to, how to really control and talk with your kids about using apps and getting them to do chores and things like that. It's a very interesting idea, but today it's going to be a day to ourselves, and tomorrow will be our guest. So everyone sit back, relax, as we of course do, an entire hour of computer and technology news. So why don't we go ahead and get started? So I think for our first story, we are going to do bad news after bad news, and this is you never want to hear about loss of life. Obviously, you want everyone to live happy and as long as they possibly could, but I saw this headline, and while it's not strictly technology related, I could not pass it up. So this is by Sarah Emerson of Motherboard. If you haven't checked them out, definitely check them out. Great publication, very long, in-depth articles, but definitely appreciate their reporting. And Florida man, unfortunately, was killed by world's most dangerous bird. Unfortunately. So, and this was, so again, this is by Motherboard. A Florida man was killed by the world's most dangerous bird last Friday, becoming one of the few known cases of death by cassowary And if you don't know what a cassowary is, if you're not looking at the video portion, think of it. It's probably in the family of emus or ostriches. Probably more familiar with those. They're giant birds, and I guess they're the deadliest. Although I guess you really don't hear much about deadly birds. They said that the victim was a 75-year-old man who owned a farm near Alachua County, and on Friday morning, Hejos was rushed to UF Health Shands Hospital under a trauma alert and later succumbed to undescribed injuries, probably bird attack. Saying that he died, he was doing what he loved. A woman who claimed that that he was her fiance. An emergency responder says that he was killed by a cassowary, a large and flightless relative of the emu, and a dangerous reputation, and most notably, weaponized feet punctuated by talons up to 5 inches long. Much like an ostrich, like they'll take those long bird legs and they'll like stab them at you. It's very, very dangerous. They said that authorities have since secured the bird on a private property. They're deadly, but he's only the second documented person to have been killed by a cassowary. You have to go all the way back to April 1926, where an Australian teenager died from throat injuries inflicted by a cassowary. There you go. There have been at least 221 recorded non-fatal attacks, many of which boil down to cassowaries becoming habituated to people and associating them with food. Essentially, they will beat the crackers out of you. It's not uncommon for cassowaries to break into homes in parts of Queensland looking for a snack. So there you go, and we're going to go ahead and kind of skip through this a little bit. But they said that there are 3 living cassowary species, all of which sport a casque or a skin-covered knob on their head. Cassowaries are mostly omnivorous, scavenging fruit and, of course, other things off the forest floor. And initial information indicates that this was a tragic accident for the victim. So, death by cassowary. Another thing to add to your list of things you probably don't want to happen. Again, you never hope that anyone dies, but I found it interesting. It had a nice blend of Florida man mixed with deadly bird mixed with just interesting. So there you have it. All right, let's get back on track here. Lots and lots of different stuff that we can talk about. Why don't we discuss Microsoft? Because they're not having a good day either. And I know many of you out there, you probably have used Outlook at one point or another. And Outlook.com recently had a hack. They were breached. Well, what does that mean? That means that Microsoft admits Outlook.com hackers were able to access emails, saying that the security breach was worse for some than for others. And if for no other reason, I wanted to do the story to really let everyone know who would be at risk and what were the circumstances that this happened. And potentially you could take some kind of mitigating steps that if you transmitted any kind of information, any kind of passwords, any kind of credit card information over email through Outlook, then maybe you want to go through and head it off and or just check your bank statements or get a new card or things like that. Definitely want to keep that secure. But I digress. This coming to us from The Verge, and this is by Tom Warren, saying that Microsoft has admitted that its Outlook.com security breach was worse than the company initially revealed. And the software maker started notifying some Outlook.com users late on Friday night that a hacker was able to access accounts for months earlier this year. You heard that right, months. And to skip ahead a little bit, they said that people were, unfortunately, Microsoft discovered that a support agent's credentials were compromised for its web mailing services, allowing unauthorized access to some accounts between January 1st and March 28th, 2019. So again, January 1st to March 28th, if you use Outlook.com, this is where you are affected. Now, again, a support agent's credentials were compromised. That means that someone who would be there to look into any kind of routing issues or, why am I not getting this email? And they'd be able to look into your account. And hey, there you go. that's you would indeed have to kind of watch yourself. They claim that the hackers have been able to access some accounts for up to 6 months and have access to and have used the access to reset iCloud accounts linked to stolen iPhones. A Microsoft spokesperson tells The Verge that the claim of 6 months is inaccurate and pointed towards the company's notification of January 1st through March 28th. So it's not 6. So at best, Microsoft is saying it wasn't 6 months. At worst, it was 3 months, which is something. And again, to be clear, this is not Outlook itself. This is Outlook.com. So if you have no email in your Outlook.com, that's good. But I'm sure a lot of people still do use the service. Our notification to the majority of those impacted noted that the bad actors would not have had unauthorized access to the content of emails or attachments, saying that a small group, or 6% of the original already limited subset of consumers, have notified that bad actors could have had unauthorized access to the contents of their email accounts and were provided with additional guidance and support. So it sounds like Microsoft was getting ahead of it. They alerted everyone that they were able to. And if you weren't notified, then you're probably safe. They don't give any kind of numbers as to exactly how many people were compromised, but if it's one support worker, I'm not sure how many accounts they would assign to a singular support worker, but it would be approximately that many. So obviously this is not everyone, just a certain number. So there you have it. And it's not a good day for Microsoft. Now, with that being said, why don't we go ahead, switch on over to story number 3. And hey, why not hack to hack? This has to do with a random hacker. And I saw this, I thought, wow, that's a lot of credentials. Check this one out. A hacker has dumped nearly 1 billion user records over the past 2 months. That's right. And his name is Gnostic Players, has stolen over 932 million user records from 44 companies. That's crazy. That and really, if you think about it, the largest breach or even kind of release of user credentials ever was Yahoo, which we just talked about last week. That came out to about 3.2 billion people. And for this to be 1 billion from a singular person from 44 different companies, this is easily top 10. This is very, very dangerous. So a hacker who spoke with ZDNet on February, which is, by the way, where this article comes from, saying that about wanting to put up for sale the data of over 1 billion users is getting dangerously close to his goal after releasing another 65.5 million records last week and reaching a grand total of 932 million records overall. So this person actually went to the media and was trying to extort money or try to find some way to get payment for his 1 billion records. The hacker's name is Gnostic Players, and he's responsible for the hack of 44 companies, including last week's revelations. Saying that mid-February, the hacker has been putting batches of hacked data on Dream Market, a dark web marketplace for selling illegal products such as guns, drugs, and hacking tools. Saying that he's, it's not good that the very first company was actually a company that we interviewed here on the show. I'm sure if you Google Computer America and 500px, which is a site for, I think, hosting images and that you take and things like that. But yeah, he's released data from companies like 500px, who unfortunately, fortunately have been on the show, but unfortunately they were hacked. Under Armour, Share This, GiphyCat, and Jiffy Cat, and MyHeritage, just to name the bigger names, where they've and releases have been grouped into 4 rounds. Round 1, which was about 620 million user records. Round 2, which was about 127 million user records. Round 3 was 93, and round 4 was 26.5. So they're getting progressively smaller, but he's already up to about a billion. Last week, the hacker notified ZDNet of his latest release, round 5, containing the data of about 65.5 million users, which the hacker claimed to have taken from 6 companies: gaming platform MindJolt. And I've heard of MindJolt before. They gobbled up one of the other companies that we talked to here on the show. But yeah, MindJolt, Digital Mall Wanello, okay, Evite, South Korean travel company Yonolja, here we go, and women's fashion store Moda Operandi, and Apple repair center iCracked. So if you've used any of those, then hey, maybe your user credentials were in this latest round. So while, of course, and they even have a picture here of, where you can buy this kind of thing, while ZDNet has reached out for comment to each of the named businesses, most of the hackers' previously 38 victims have confirmed hacks, so this new batch of stolen data is very likely to be authentic. And yeah, you can see an image here where he actually took a picture of what it would look like if you were to buy these these things, where like MindJolt, you would be able to get 28 million user account information from MindJolt, or 10 million username and password in clear text from Evite. Just not good. And of course, everything in Bitcoin. Hey, if you didn't know. So really, I mean, buying and selling on the dark web, like you think it's this weird kind of, something that would be really difficult or really techy, but at the same time, it's not much different than shopping on Amazon. Like you just click something, put it in your cart, pay for it in Bitcoin, and off you go. You get it delivered right to you. It's very, very simple, unfortunately. So the hacker said that he decided to put his data up for sale for about less than a Bitcoin, which is going for about $4,300, regardless of market's impending closure. They said that Dream Market admins decided last month to shut down their marketplace on April 30th and transition users to a competing site after being bombarded by nearly non-stop DDoS attacks and ransom demands. Obviously, if you deal with hacking tools, there's a very real possibility you yourself will be the victim of those tools. And the article goes on for a bit more. We're going to we're going to go ahead and kind of end this there, but just know that there's a full list. We'll include this article in the show notes, and yeah, you should probably take a poke at what's going on with this list. And if you are a user of any of these, then you may want to just go ahead and change your email and password. It seems like a lot of these, full name, profile ID, IP address, email, Facebook email and ID, Instagram, Google, let's see, there's username, password, there's Steam ID. A lot of them seem to be passwords and usernames for a lot, and of course emails. So anything that you can get your hands on, anything that you can touch and change would probably be preferred. And again, these companies range everywhere from travel to interior design to gaming to pet food delivery, file sharing, travel. There's a lot of ground to cover here. So 1 billion user records is nothing to scoff at. So there you go. Check that out. Okay, everyone. There you go. Yes, very much underground eBay. So there you go. Let's go ahead and scooch on over to story number 5. And this is one that I've been kind of following off and on because ever since I heard about it about 3 years ago, it has this place in my head as something that will probably never actually happen. And it looks like we're there. This is from Ars Technica, and Terry Gilliam's Don Quixote film will finally hit the big screen after 25 years. If you want to talk about production heck, then yeah, 25 years for a singular film, and it's finally going to be released. So we're not going to get into the plot. Obviously, Don Quixote, it's a very popular story. If you haven't read it, highly recommended. But at the same time, the movie, The Man Who Killed Don Quixote, director Terry Gilliam's tribute to the classic Spanish novel, has finally hit the silver screen. saying that the project has floundered in development heck with a reputation of being cursed, saying, but Gilliam's persevered, and while the finished product isn't exactly a masterpiece, it definitely reflects the singular vision of one of our most original filmmakers. So Terry Gilliam, of course, no stranger to film, but yeah, I mean, hey, he made it happen for better or worse. Let's see. So obviously, the film goes into, the article goes into a review of the film and things like that. We're not going to go ahead and, talk about the review of it, but we're going to go ahead and skip ahead to the summation of this, saying that the problem is that people have very high expectations, Gilliam told the BBC, and a lot of people say I'm a fool to make the film, and that it would have been better to let people imagine how great it would have been rather than making it a reality and disappointing them. People love Roman ruins because they're not complete and you can imagine them. So I may be making a great mistake. Maybe the film would be better as a fantasy. That was again Gilliam talking to the BBC. The author says, personally, I'm glad Gilliam finally finished his film that the way he always wanted, with all of its messy imperfections. Whether it connects with audiences remains to be seen. This may be one of those visionary films that will play better with age. Its spirit is true to the to traditional filmmaking, and of course, Don Quixote would approve. Gilliam has been tilting at this particular windmill for 25 years, and it's gratifying to finally see him conquer the giant. Yeah, it's just think about that. A movie that has been just perpetually pushed off and off and off for 25 years. There you go. I think the documentary about making the movie came out before the movie itself was actually made. And that only took 22 years. It was quite the feat that he was actually able to get that pulled off. So there you go. Let's... Okay, so moving on. That was story number 5. Story number 6. Let's go ahead and talk about Match. If you haven't used a dating site, and we're thinking about, producing some content for the show here, explaining how best to use dating apps and dating sites and things like that. I use them probably far too much personally, and I'm not even going to speak to my success on the whole thing, but there's an entire multi-billion-dollar industry structured around the idea that people want to connect with one another. They want to find dates, they want to find relationships, they want to get married, they want to do XYZ. And don't worry, companies are coming out of the woodwork to cater to that. And not just there are a lot of companies, but at the same time, there's probably just one company that you've heard of. And this is something that I think a lot of people don't really realize, but it's okay. Hey, it's different demographics. You get into situations where, think like JDate or Farmers Only or Black People Meet or Match.com, Tinder, OkCupid, all these different niche, kind of sites, because obviously if you're not a farmer, then you're not going to go to farmersonly.com to find a date. They're all owned by the same company. They're all owned by the Match Group. The Match Group is determined to find you a date, but at the same time, they want to offer you the opportunity to give them a lot of money while you search. So, let's go ahead and get started with this. Match Group restructures the executive team with focus on Asia. So obviously, I think dating apps are pretty well understood here in the United States. But we're going to check out some numbers that show that Asia has a long way to go to catch up in terms of our flirtatious behavior. Asia can certainly learn a thing or two. Now, here we go. Saying that Tinder parent... And by the way, one of our users in the chat room saying that, nope, no dating apps here. I have dogs. I have dogs too. And I will say, I'm not saying get dogs because it will help you in your dating game, but dogs help you in your dating game because I feel like women think that, and I'm speaking from a male's point of view, towards a woman, that hey, if this guy can keep a dog alive, then that's some form of responsibility. That's good, and even better if they're adorable dogs. So, yeah, shop wisely for your adorable dogs. Okay, now Tinder parent company Match Group, also the owner of a suite of dating apps, including OkCupid, Meetic, Meetic, Match, Plenty of Fish, and others. Trust me, there are many in there that if you don't know Match Group, they own pretty much every advertised dating service out there. Anywho, they've announced this morning's plans to restructure its leadership team in order to better focus on the market opportunities for dating apps in Asia. Specifically, the company has appointed 3 new general managers in Asia, focused on areas like Japan, Taiwan, India, South Korea, and other parts of Southeast Asia. There you go. The company explains its decision has to do with the potential it sees for growth outside the U.S. and Europe, where there are more than 400 million singles, 2/3 who have not yet tried a dating app. 400 million singles, and if you know anything about the demographics outside the United States, smartphones are widely available. And of course, dating apps, therefore, would be very, very intriguing to people who are looking to find a date. Now, one of the new GMs is a Tokyo-based gentleman who has been CEO of Match Group's Eureka business in Japan. He now becomes the general manager of Match Group for Japan and Taiwan. Now, let's see. So Meetic, which is the Match Group's European dating app, will now be overseen by Matthew Jakir, who has worked as a CPO with the company for over a year, and alongside they name a couple more executives. Essentially, everyone's getting moved around, but no one's really losing a job. It's just people are kind of getting promoted and resituated. So while Match Group plans for growth across Asia, India has been of particular importance, especially as rival dating app Bumble entered the country last year, where it tapped actress, celebrity, and Bumble investor Priyanka Chopra to advise its expansion. Here's the thing. Asia, huge market. India, huge market. You're looking at potentially 1 billion single people. And if they don't know a lot about the dating side of technology, then they would be very interested in paying to find more suitable matches. There you go. They're saying that Tinder has also tried to cater to its Indian users with more recent launches of expanded gender options in its app, and the Bumble-like My Move feature will allow women to chat first. That's a feature that became popular a year or two ago, especially with Bumble, and others have tried to follow suit. Where if you don't know this, because I'm sure a lot of you are happily married or happily in a relationship, over the past couple of years, Bumble really started it, where you would get these messages from really weird, gross guys. There's really no way to put it. Like even myself, like years ago, when I was more active on the dating sites, a gentleman actually messaged me and offered me a massage. Very unwarranted, but it gave me a small glimpse into the lifestyle of a woman using these apps, where guys can be really obnoxious. And so came the trend that women make the first move. If you seem interesting, if they would like to talk to you, then they initiate, and then you can, of course, you can reciprocate. That's probably going to be the way it's going to work in Asia and in India, where it's just. I'm not saying that they're less progressive than the West when it comes to women's equality and things like that, but there's a long way to go. And I think the views of women have to, especially in a platform where women or men are meant to be equal. Obviously there's going to be some work to be done there. Now, however, Tinder's strategy in India needs to differ from here in the US, where it's now promoting the young, carefree, and often less relationship-focused single lifestyle. In India, as well as China and other markets, dating apps today still face challenges due to cultural norms, that's led to an unbalanced ratio between men and women using the apps in India. And when women join, they're overwhelmed by the attention they receive as a result. Which is, that's what I was just kind of getting at. Where one woman, if she is attractive and, she has a nice profile and she's a real person, most importantly there, she can receive dozens or hundreds of messages in a single day. Whereas a guy will receive almost no messages ever. And that leads to this disparity that leaves men feeling like there's no one out there for them. And that leaves women feeling like there's just too much attention. And both of them get turned off the app, which is, again, not what the match group would like. So they said that the issue will require Tinder. And everyone, we're about to head into break here in just a moment. Music playing in the background right there. These issue will require Tinder to adapt everything from its marketing and advertising messages to its product features in order to better cater to its Indian users. And it requires someone who fully understands the market to lead. So everyone, that's about it for that story. When we come back, more computer and technology news. When we come back, everyone, stay tuned. We'll be here with a lot more. Everyone, be right back.
Greece is cheap.
But the airfare costs a fortune.
Paris?
Not much closer, and again, airfare...
What about Puerto Vallarta?
Let's face it, flying anywhere is just too expensive.
Wait, what's this? Low-cost airlines.
With one call to low-cost airlines, you'll drastically slash your travel costs. We're talking insanely low airline prices to any of your favorite destinations. Where would you like to go? London, Rome, Costa Rica, Australia?
Wow, that's cheap.
So why wait? Call now to learn how crazy cheap it is to fly anywhere in the U.S. or international. Our prices are so low, we can't publish them. The only way to get them is to call to instantly hear the most amazing best deals on airline travel. It's that easy. So call now and start packing.
800-215-4461. 800-215-4461. 800-215-4461. That's 800-215-4461.
We are all Brother Wolf. 10 years ago, a group of locals banded together to create positive change. We took animals into our homes, held adoption events at local retailers, and talked to the community about our mission to help build a no-kill Asheville. A decade later, we have achieved so many victories for animals in need. There's been so much progress, yet there's still so much to do. As part of our year-long celebration, we encourage you to become a member of our special Compassionate Circle program. With a monthly donation of $10 or more, you will have behind-the-scenes access to the work we are doing at Brother Wolf. Our goal is to reach 1,000 members because we receive no government funding. Working together, we can help build and sustain no-kill communities. Learn more at compassionatecircle.bwar.org. We are a 501c3 tax-deductible organization.
And welcome back to the Computer America Show. It is 32 minutes past the hour. Everyone, hey, welcome back into the program. So if you're just joining us, if you missed any part of our program so far, feel free to check us out wherever podcasts are heard. Search Computer America, and we should pop right up. All you have to do is search Computer America. You're good to go. Okay, now, with that being said, computer and technology news for the whole hour. It's been a lot of fun so far, a lot of great stories, including, unfortunately, a Florida man who has passed away from bird attack. Not very good, but we have a lot of other news stories to talk about, including this one. So, and this is, just personally, we go to the mall pretty often, not by choice, but hey, we patron a mall. And the idea of going into a shop, browsing a selection of things, and taking one of them home kind of seems archaic in the day and age where you can go onto a website, have something shipped from a central location to your home in a matter of days. The very notion of a mall is pretty outdated. That's a problem because even with new experiences and different things, and hey, if you've listened to the show for a long time, you may remember the most recent Alien exhibit that we had, where it was kind of like a virtual reality or like a live action virtual reality kind of thing, where people would go through this experience of fighting aliens. Yes, from that franchise, and it happened in like VR. Yeah, malls are trying everything from escape rooms to weird cinematic experiences to everything else that you could only get at a mall. The problem is, it's not really helping. This is coming to us from CNBC. Offering shoppers new experiences isn't helping as malls see tsunami of store closures and falling traffic. There you go. US, and here we go. So let's go ahead and get into the article, saying it's only April, but already this year there have been more store closures, which is about 6,000 if you're keeping count, have been announced than in all of 2018. Saying that isn't helping mall owners. It's a hard time to be a mall. There's no doubt about it. Foot traffic at some of the best shopping centers across the country peaked around August 2018 and has since started to fall. After rebounding for much of last year, according to a new report, firm Thasos, which uses more than 100 million mobile phones to track when consumers enter and leave certain trade areas. Everyone, if you didn't know that you're being tracked through your smartphone, here's proof. Again, 100 million mobile phones are being used to track when consumers enter and leave certain trade areas. This is not unusual. We've seen the same type of technology used for, let's say, Walmart. Like if you go into Walmart and you find yourself, continuously ping-ponging the aisles looking for your groceries, eventually they may better lay out their store so that you actually cover more ground, get exposed to more advertising, and potentially buy more so that they can, so that foot traffic is better utilized. That kind of thing happens all the time, and no exception here. Now, the good news for a lot of malls was that many retailers made a comeback and were able to draw in more shoppers by using promotions in 2018. But if you're selling merchandise at a loss, you can only do that for so long. And as retailers are now starting to talk about pulling back on discounting, this could be one reason why traffic is dropping at malls. Saying that in addition to the fact that some purchasers are moving online, another issue is landlords having been hoping that offering shoppers new experiences would make it more exciting to go to the mall, but the early evidence isn't showing a boost in activity. So they have a fun little bar graph here, or line graph if you are checking out the video portion. But foot traffic certainly peaked again back in August 2018, and we're seeing these kinds of little peaks, but at the same time, not really happening. U.S. retailers, again, have so far announced that they will shut almost 6,000 stores while opening another 2,600, which of course means that you have about 3,000 new openings. Let's see. That's more locations slated to go dark than during last year, 2018, where there were about 6,000 closures and about 3,000 openings. So the difference here is you're losing about 3,300 new stores, and as opposed to this time last year, you were only losing about 2,600. So, yeah, a decent jump up. Now, the planned closure includes more than 2,000 Payless shoe stores, which filed for bankruptcy, hundreds from clothing retailers like Gymboree and Victoria's Secret and Gap, and discount chain Fred's. Many others, including Aldi, Dollar Tree, Ollie's Bargain Outlet, Five Below, and Levi's, are planning to open more stores. Dollar Tree has been going bonkers, by the way. I don't know if you've noticed, but there have been a lot of openings around here. I never got it, the idea of a dollar store. Like, I get it's supposed to save you money, but at the same time, everyone, be smart about what you purchase. That's all I can say. Now, there you go. Let's go ahead and skip through this article a little bit, and we'll go ahead and move on to something a little more tech-oriented as opposed to market-oriented. But mall owners are also experimenting with spaces that let young brands rotate in and out more frequently, where they sign short-term leases and gain access to data on foot traffic and shopping patterns. They also have the third largest mall owner in the nation, has a business called Brandbox that is rolling out to centers across the U.S. So malls are trying to adapt. It's unfortunately just the way that commerce happens in today's day and age with online shopping and things like that. If you can get it online, why would you go somewhere and go look at it and buy it in person? There's only so many hours in a day, and how many people actually want to spend that in a mall? The answer is fewer and fewer people. So there you go. Okay, now let's go ahead, move on to our next story. I believe we're up to story number 8, if anyone out there is keeping track. Let's talk about... Okay, these two are interesting. This will probably take up a good portion of the rest of the show. But I found this, again, weird. Seasteading. So I assume this has to do with people who live on the ocean, modern-day pirates, if you will. Seasteading Bitcoin fans say that... There we go. Say that they're on the run from Thai government. Isn't it weird how whenever someone's like really into Bitcoin, they're doing something that you probably shouldn't be doing either way? But I digress. The first seasteaders want a new life free from national laws. Now they say they're on the run from reports of criminal charges related to their waterborne structure. Interesting. So, and of course, if you're watching the video portion, you can see where they're kind of living right now. It's different, saying that it was supposed to be the first seastead in international waters, a small white box protruding from the waves off the coast of Phuket, Thailand. Occupied by two would-be pioneers who decided to live there in the pursuit of a new life unfettered by national laws. Those pesky laws, like don't murder people and don't be bad. But yeah, no, not discounting that. Now, but both now, we're just going to call them by their first names, saying that Chad and Supernee say that they're on the run. According to the Bangkok Post, the Royal Thai Navy filed a criminal complaint with the police under a section of the criminal code that concerns threats to national sovereignty. Violations of this section of the criminal code are punishable by life in prison or death. Oh my. And I guess trying to start your own little, nation-free, I guess they would be a nation, would challenge people's sovereignty, or at least the sovereignty of the waters outside of Thailand. Now, the 6-meter wide structure, which works out to 6 meters would be like 18, 20 feet, something like about 20 feet, known as XLII, was supposed to be the first real application of seasteading, a libertarian idea that advocates for new societies to form on structures floating in international waters. And according to Ocean Builders, the startup behind the project, the structure was allegedly located in international waters 12 miles off the coast, but still within Thailand's exclusive economic zone. So, a decent distance, but not completely in international waters. After it launched in early 2019, the volunteers moved in, and of course, the two people living there are volunteers. They said that, the gentleman, he's a Bitcoin enthusiast, told me that he had enough cryptocurrency holding to retire, and that Thebdet posts online as Bitcoin Girl Thailand. Joe Quirk, president of the Seasteading Institute Advocacy Group, directed a short documentary series about the pair, entitled The First Seasteader. So you can check that out. I believe that's available on YouTube if you would like to hear more about their story, but we're here about the criminal charges. They said that trouble started when the couple saw news reports about the government cracking down on their home while celebrating the ongoing Thai holiday of Songkran. I'm sorry, I said that horribly. Songkran, which began on Saturday on land. Fearing the potentially stiff consequences, the pair bugged out, a phrase that essentially means fleeing. And of course, when the author first contacted the gentleman through Ocean Builder's site admin email, he said, "We are on the run." Yeah, you don't want to be on the run from any authority, let alone the Thai authority. The officials claim that the structure obstructs a shipping route, and that they disputed this in an email, noting that the structure is small, located in an area rife with fishing boats, and outfitted with a solar anchor light as well as navigation beacon for nearby ships. Essentially, and this is something I was wondering, how the heck does this thing not get taken out by, one of these freight ships? And I guess any ship using any kind of modern technology would, of course, be alerted to their location through the navigational beacon. Now, when Motherboard contacted the U.S. Embassy in Thailand, an after-hours duty officer did not have any information to share. The origins of Ocean Builders are murky, apparently intentionally so. You would think that from a libertarian think tank, but they are being... But of course, they said to the company's email account, even while on the run, a company statement described the pair merely as volunteers excited about the prospect of living free. So they're not exactly associated with the company. They were just two people who kind of took them up on the offer of, hey, do you want to live out 12 miles off the coast in a shipping container? And they said yes. Just strange. Let's see. So let's go ahead and continue on. According to the gentleman, Ocean Builders didn't liaise with the Thai government before the planned sale, and instead intended to wow officials with an impressive lineup of prospective buyers. Oh, the classic, it's easier to ask for forgiveness than permission. Classic rookie mistake when you're trying to take over part of someone's waterways. Now, what is clear is that the modest XLII structure was hardly the end of Ocean Builders' plans. The company had planned to start a pre-sale on 20 more units on Monday, a sale that is now postponed, according to a statement, and a minimal bare-bones structure was to sell for about $150,000 US, according to the company. So this would be pretty cheap. Pretty cheap for some areas, although you could go to the Midwest and get a decent-sized house for $150,000. Actually, a really decent-sized house in some places, but I guess out in the middle of the ocean, 20 square feet was about all that was going to give you. But so there you go. And by the way, here's a quote saying how they were going to accomplish this. Quote, "We wanted to see if there was enough interest before going to the Thai government. The key was that we needed to show them how much money we plan on bringing in for our project. We couldn't just go to them with hopes of something happening, so we figured that we would do the sale, see if there was enough interest, then get started building with the permission of the Thai Tourism Authority and Board of Investment." Again, it's not a good idea to do hundreds of thousands or millions of dollars in work and then say, oh, don't worry, this will work out in the end. That is risky and apparently illegal. So they said that the gentleman out there on the, who was Seasteading, said that he and Thebdet are now seeking safety and asylum, because if you are one of these people that wants to live free of any foreign government or any government, then odds are you probably don't want to go back to your own. Now, we just want to be alive somewhere, not fleeing. I may be able to get to the U.S. Embassy, but Nadia is Thai. She has to leave her family behind, her son and her mom. Man, I mean, she's living 12 miles out into the ocean. She already left her mom and her son. This whole thing is just weird. If the pair do make it, though, they may decide to leave Seasteading behind and simply live peacefully in their new location. And that is, of course, what the gentleman himself said. I've heard a lot. I have heard of a lot of bad ideas. I think claiming a part of the ocean as yours and claiming international sovereignty is probably not the best idea. So if anyone out there was thinking about this, Computer America says, probably not great. And by the way, again, Melter Snowflakes in the chat room, how's the internet? Undoubtedly. I mean, unless they did some kind of weird thing where they dove into the ocean and tapped into one of the undersea cables, which infinitely doubt that they did, they would be using satellite internet. And satellite internet can be decent, assuming there's no cloud coverage or, think of satellite television. But yeah, there's probably not many satellite internet companies that are focused on the middle of nowhere in, off the coast of Thailand. So probably pretty bad. Probably. And no, the only charter you would get out there would be charter vessels who would ram into your house in the middle of the night. There you go. Everyone, that's that story. Let's go ahead and move on to the next one, because I don't know what I can say about that one that hasn't already been said. So just real quick, we'll get into our next one in a little bit, but our very next story, Xbox, we heard rumors and now it looks to be officially happening. Wanted to let you all know that if you were in the market for a new gaming console, then this could be something for you. Report all digital Xbox One coming May 7th for 230 euros in Europe. There you go. So 230 euros. I am not currently up to date on my conversion rate, but that's about $250, I would assume. New hardware reportedly identical to an Xbox One S in size and shape. But if you're checking out the video portion and you can see the image here, what do you notice about this Xbox? And really, the only thing you should mention is that there is no slot. There's no little gash across the front to put in physical media. No DVDs, no game disc, nothing. This thing is purely digital. And following a November report on Microsoft's plans for a disc-free Xbox One S option, new reports suggest that the new hardware will arrive May 7th, so early next month, and sell for about 230 euro. They had Thorat's Brad Sams, who has been reliable on Microsoft-related hardware rumors in the past. This weekend pointed to reporting from German site WinFuture, which confirmed everything I have reported so far, and that report includes purported shots of the all-digital exclusive of the Xbox One S and its European packaging. The hardware displays there look identical to the existing Xbox One S, right down to the size, save for the lack of the hole for the disk drive in the front panel. Yeah, and so here's the big thing, if you're wondering why would they do this, cheap. It's cheaper than you would expect. The reported price is about 230 euros, which would be just over $250 in the US. And currently, you can buy an Xbox One S for about 300 euro. So you're looking at about a 80 euro price difference. So potentially, if this comes to the US, you are looking at something about $200 range, if not a little bit cheaper, $199 to get the people. But yeah, strictly digital, no disk drive or anything like that. And of course, the big problem there, think about the few gaming companies, the few gaming stores that still exist. You're looking at your GameStops and EB Games, if those still exist. But every store that sells optical disk drives, that sell optical disc, they are looking at this and going, boy, I hope that doesn't catch on, because that's still a portion of their revenue to sell people gaming discs. Obviously, this is the first console of what I'm sure is going to be many. There will be a time when you see no disk drive and disk drive, but unfortunately the way that economics works is that if something is even $20 cheaper on a big purchase like this, then yeah, people are really going to weigh that heavily in their minds. Yeah, I could get this, or for $20 less, I could get this, and I could live with it. The fact that it's cheaper just, to me, really does signify that this is the way things will be going. So don't expect to see game discs last forever, and there you go. Now, and by the way, speaking of Microsoft, actually, we do have time for this next one. If you want to look at Microsoft and their questionable business ideas, look no further than this next story. So you may know AirPods. There have been memes about them. AirPods are things from Apple that go inside your ears. They look like little pods and they work with AirPlay, hence AirPods. Now we get this article. Microsoft may respond to AirPods with its own smart earbuds. Microsoft and hardware don't exactly, in my mind, go hand in hand, but here we are. This is from none other than the infamous John Fingus here on the program. Engadget, Microsoft's personal audio efforts might not stop with the Surface headphones. Thoreau sources, and hey, we just talked about Thoreau with the sources about the Xbox One S with no disk drive, said that the company is developing a pair of Surface branded earbuds codenamed Morrison, where the headphones, for context, were named Joplin, and it's not clear if they're doing anything different than the existing over-the-ear or even whether or not they would be a cable, but it wouldn't be unreasonable to expect an all-wireless design that counters Apple's AirPods or Samsung Galaxy Buds and similar trendy choices. And, at the heart of it, I really don't blame Microsoft for doing this, because if you don't keep up with the trends, then you're behind and people forget about you. Trends are okay. Trends are cool, but you have to do them well. You can't just go in, kind of half whatever it's. So I digress. You might know that the focus of Microsoft's existing hardware is anything to go by. You'd get integration for Cortana, noise cancellation, and hopefully good audio quality. Thoreau also understood that Microsoft was making it easier to read on your phone by improving interactions between the handset and its earbuds. So there's no known timetable for the release. While it's feasible that Microsoft would aim for a 2019 release, it's early enough that the crew and ribbon could miss that target, and there's also the question of whether or not these Surface earbuds would stand out. Microsoft's pretty bad at that. They are very pressed to make their hardware stand out. So let's hope that they can do it. Now, let's go ahead. Yes, because I want subliminal messages pumped in directly into my ears from Microsoft. Microsoft, again, I have nothing against Microsoft making the hardware. It's just Microsoft isn't very good at making hardware that is exciting. Look at the Zune. Look at a lot of other Microsoft and software. I don't think anyone would say that Windows is not a great operating system, but their hardware leaves a lot to be desired. And yeah, there you go. So with that being said, hey, more power to them. Last story, everyone who loves trees, I need you to pay attention here just for a second. Last article for the day. Everyone, why NASA wants you to point your smartphone at trees, saying that this NASA app gives nature walks a new porpoise. NASA would like you to take a picture of a tree, and the space agency ICESat-2 satellite estimates the height of trees from space, and NASA has created a new tool for citizens that can help check those measurements from the ground. All it takes is a smartphone, the app, and an optional tape measure and a tree. Saying that this was launched in September 2018, the ICESat-2 satellite carries an instrument called Atlas that shoots 60,000 pulses of light at the Earth's surface every second it orbits the planet. It's basically a laser in space, and if you know anything about lasers, they can, judging by the time that they bounce back to their original source, you can get depth. And it takes everything, and of course those lasers are measuring everything from sea ice, land ice, ocean, inland water, trees, everything like that is being, of course, measured. Now, knowing how tall trees are can help researchers estimate the health of the world's forest and the amount of carbon dioxide that they can soak up. But Newman says that the big open question is how good those measurements from space actually are, because obviously more accurate data gives you, better data. And that's where citizen science comes in to help verify. Some are more challenging than others. You can't really ask a bunch of school kids in Pennsylvania to go to Antarctica to measure the ice sheets for you for calibration, but you can ask them to take their smartphones outside, which is exactly what NASA is doing with its Globe Observer app. If you'd like to help NASA out, if you'd like to be a citizen scientist, GLOBE Observer app, saying that you've got all sorts of great terrain and features right in your backyard that you could go out and do these measurements that would be super useful for us. And hey, they even have a little diagram here about what tree would look good. Obviously any tree that would be deformed or bent or for any reason just not a good height for the tree that you can't really discern with your eye would not be a good tree. So anyways, once you've selected your non-broken tree and staked out a spot about 25 to 75 feet away, you hold the phone right in front of your face. There's the music. Right in front of your face and angle it to measure the base and then the tree top. Then you take your picture, count your steps to the tree, log your position at its base, and the app spits out the tree's height. When, of course, the author tried, my tree was backlit, surrounded by other trees, and discovered that through the camera, its top was hard to distinguish from the other trees. So try to get a tree that, is singular. So there you go. If you want to help NASA out, that'd be the best way to do it. Everyone else, again, it's the Globe app. You can check that out, the Globe Observer app. Check it out. In the meantime, everyone, that's all the time we have here for today. Thank you so much for joining us here. It's a very interesting, idea. And everyone, hey, another interesting idea is joining us here tomorrow, 4 p.m. to 5 p.m. Eastern, Monday through Friday. We have Fam Club joining us on the show, talking all about apps and kids and how to get them to work together. Everyone, we'll catch you next time. Have a great day. Thank you so much. Thank you, everyone in the chat room. And until tomorrow, have a great day. Bye-bye, everyone.